Hello again, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Monday Night Magic here on the MTG Cast Network. I am Chewie, and
Hi, Chewie.
Hi, and with me as always are Cluze.
Hey, how y'all doing?
And Squee.
Hi, Cluze. Hi, Chewie. Hi, the internet. Hi, Steve. How's the bus?
So it's actually kind of a light week this week, and I think that's probably good.
Yes.
Oh, also big shout out to South Dakota.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Boo.
Not North Dakota.
Oh, sorry, you did say South Dakota. I'm sorry. Excuse
South
me.
Dakota, yeah.
I mean, they both got enough letters. They're okay in my book. They exist.
A guy I went to college with was dead set that one of the Dakotas didn't exist.
Because he didn't know anyone who'd ever been there?
Yeah, but I can't remember which one. Which one has Mount Rushmore?
I
Really?
assumed it was south, but I've never been.
Yeah, I think it's South, but I've never been either.
Internet, talk. South Dakota, yes.
Okay, so maybe it's North Dakota that doesn't exist because people have been to South Dakota because they've
Yeah.
seen Mount Rushmore.
Have they?
I mean, that's that mountain that has all of Richie Rich's family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Anyway.
Oh, Richie Rich reference. How nice.
So we've got tournaments. Let's knock out the easy ones first. There were two Dominaria Limited Grand Prix this weekend. Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth had 1,043 players, which is a pretty good number.
Yeah. For a Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Yeah, well, one of the few times that Cinco de Mayo takes place on a weekend.
Is that a rare occurrence?
On a Saturday, no less, so you can actually, have a day to recover.
All right, then.
I don't know, I didn't go out, because it's me.
I don't think we're the target audience for that entire holiday.
Yeah, I don't think so either. My neighbors across the way, though, kept the party going all the way until this morning. I'm just saying.
Nice.
No.
No, that's not healthy.
Luckily, the microphone didn't pick it up, so the stream couldn't hear it, but it annoyed the hell out of me. Anyway. What are we talking about? Dallas Fort Worth. Robert Brown won with Dominaria cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 40 of them. I think we found a new meta. I didn't see any of these cards in the limited events a month ago.
Robert Brown is an assistant professor of engineering playing in his first ever Grand Prix.
And he won.
And he took it down, so there you go.
Never doubt the power of Juggernaut.
Someday I might win a Grand Prix.
No, you've already been to your first one.
Actually, no, I've never played in a GP.
Oh, well, I mean, then you're never going to win one. Liz.
I've judged them, and the one that I was supposed to play in, they, at the last minute, needed more judges, and I ended up judging instead.
All right, then. Well, you can't do that anymore.
No, I can't.
You want to go over this top 8?
Yeah. Second place, William Craddock. Third place, Aaron Rubin. Vikram Kudva, let's say. In fourth place, Matt... Wait. No, that is what that says. Matt Stanky. In sixth place, we have Andrew Ellenbogen. In seventh place, Jose Daniel Garcia Rosas. Something like that. I am really, really, really bad at names. And in eighth place, Billy Khan. What was that? Billy Hahn.
You're really bad at names.
What was that?
Yeah,
Something
you're
like...
pretty
There wasn't a
terrible.
K in there anywhere.
Something like Caleb.
Famously terrible at names, yes.
Now you're just doing it on purpose. It's not even the same. You sold out.
Wait until we get to the next limited event.
No, that one's going to be on Bill.
Is it?
No, I
Sure.
think we're making Chewie do it so
Damn
he
it.
can redeem himself.
But yeah, so this was, again, limited, so there's really nothing for us to talk about. So let's move on to GP Beijing, which had, was it 909? I wrote this down earlier. 909 players. Where... Wait, this is... What? This is... Oh, no. Hang on. I closed Beijing instead of Dallas Fort Worth. I mean, yeah, that's what I meant.
Bum, bum, ba-dum.
Brrr.
So, in a decisive meta solidarity, they are also playing with cards from the newest set only.
Oh, that's nice.
Consistency. This is stuff you can believe in.
Like, did a memo go out that we didn't get because we didn't attend these GPs?
Could be. I have no idea. Maybe it was on the back of the playmats. I have no idea.
It was on an Instagram account that they put the announcement.
I'm only following their Friendster.
I only have them on Google Plus.
I actually had someone just like a couple weeks ago add me to their circles on Google Plus, and I was like, huh?
I feel like I should track down Google Wave and start sending people invites at this point, but I'm pretty sure that's impossible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's impossible too. But Google Wave might want to add you to their LinkedIn profile.
Oh god.
Ooh, they're gonna need recommendations.
All right, I got it open again. So
Okay, good.
GP Beijing, Dominaria Limited, 909 people, won by Zhang Ziang, let's say. Zhang Ziang. Close enough? Hopefully. In second place, Ken Yukihiro. In third place, nope. Why is the text white on the white background?
Yeah,
So
on
that's-
the white shirt, yeah.
Yes.
Ryosuke Urase.
Urase, thank you. Yeah, I was getting there. I realized
I know. I
if
was trying to save you from the Hararuya behind it.
Oh, if I mouse
Because-
over it, the whole thing goes white, so it's easier to read, oddly enough.
Oh, neat.
In fourth place, Yuki Matsumoto. In fifth place, Sota Katakawa. In sixth place, Rei Sato. In seventh place, Ji Yimin. Something like that. And in eighth place, that's just a white shirt, Mao Dun. Mao Dun? One of those. Famously bad at names. At least I didn't add any letters because I choked in the middle of saying something.
That's improvement.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He is not adding more letters. He's just mispronouncing the ones that are there.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair.
Thank you.
It's fair.
Anyway, so there is your GP Beijing top 8. But
Again, playing limited cards, so
yay.
we could analyze it, but it would mean nothing.
My recommendation is to play with the cards that you open/draft.
Ooh, and use the good ones.
So the
Or
way
at least
you
the
said,
ones that are best together.
the way you said that limited cards reminds me of a time when way back, I think it was Squanto. One of my buddy and one of the early hosts of the Mana Pool a long time ago.
10 years ago.
We were talking about, this is before the show started, we were talking about like going to a pre-release or something like that. And I said we'd have to work on your limited skills. But he got insulted by that because he didn't know that limited was like capitalized.
Limitations on his play skills is how he read that.
Yeah, he's like, "What, you're saying my skills are limited?" I'm like, "What?" Because he came at it from an angle I didn't understand. He's like, "That was cold, man." I'm like, "What are we talking about?" He's like, "You said we had to work on my limited skills." I'm like, "What? No, your skills in limited." He got all
I can
huffy.
see this entire thing playing out too.
I was like, "What? Anyway, let's go to Baltimore. Because The Wire, I guess. Right?
That is
where
the one
Wire-
thing that they'll never escape.
Yeah.
I assume it is. I have never seen The Wire.
Yeah, I've never actually watched The Wire. Cluze, did you ever watch The Wire?
Nope.
Yes, it's Baltimore.
We might be the only 3 people that didn't see The Wire.
Quite possible.
It's just us, yes.
I completely believe it. It's like how we had that thing going on with Breaking Bad until I watched it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And then I watched it, and it was no longer 3 people haven't seen it.
And now it's like I'm the only person that hasn't seen Doctor Who, right?
In part, yes. No one has seen all of it.
Somebody did.
No, you can't.
Not anymore, but somebody watched all that back then.
They're probably dead now.
Probably.
That's what I was going to say, but it seemed mean.
That's depressing.
What do they care? They're dead. They don't get to time travel clues.
SCG Baltimore
Speaking of Baltimore.
was team constructed.
Oh.
That was, oddly enough, that has been the reaction from a lot of the SCG Tour players.
Yeah.
Is that when team constructed events, or when team events in general are more widespread, they're a lot of fun. When there's a team event every damn weekend, it gets old.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen many of the prominent SCG players echoing this sentiment on Twitter. So, But anyway, there were 258 teams, which is 774 players. And Team Constructed, of course, is where you have one person playing Modern, one person playing Legacy, one person playing Standard. So with that, the actual metagame is impossible for each format because you've got two other formats that are screwing everything up. So, real quick, there's the top 8 stops. Okay, so, in first place, we've got Alexander Ferzola playing Humans in Modern. James Liu playing Green-Black Constructor in Standard. Constrictor, rather.
Constructor!
Yes, he merges to form Devastated.
Of course, I was about to make that joke. Thank you.
You mean from Hour of Devastated?
Yes. And then Roshan Epen is running Sultai Delver in Legacy. Remember when something came up earlier and I added a letter to somebody's name?
Yeah, is
that where it came from?
It seems to be causing me problems. In second place, Ross Merriam was running Elves in Modern.
Excellent.
Brennan DeCandio is running Blue-White Mid-Range in Standard.
One of those colors is good.
Blue-White Mid-Range? Okay. I guess we'll talk about that later. And Tenon Grace is running Grixis Delver in Legacy.
I don't approve of that at all.
Maybe a little bit? No. Third place, Collins Mullen was running White-Black Aggro in Standard.
Okay,
Seems
that's
to be
fine.
very popular this week. So question for you.
Yeah.
A bunch of these all of these white-black aggro decks are running Knight of Malice, but not Knight of Grace.
Knight of Malice. First strike.
They're the pair of cards.
Right. Okay, yeah, all right, sure.
Is this because of things like things like Cast Out and Thupter Arrest being permanents? So the Knight of Malice both dodges those and gets bigger, whereas Fatal Push, for example, isn't a permanent, so it's not going to necessarily give the buff to the Knight of Grace. That's the only thing I can think of. But then other Knights of Malice would be on the board to make your Knight of Grace bigger? I don't know.
I would assume that, like, the Knight of Malice in particular, because you're going to have white permanents in the form of your Planeswalker or some of your other creatures, is just easier. Like, there aren't really black permanents in this deck other than more copies of the same, and they're not going to change it for that. Like, your removal is also enchantments, your...
Oh, the Knight of Malice says...
histories.
As long as any player controls a white permanent. Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so as long as you've got, like, a Cast Out sitting on the board or something, it's going to be on.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now that I, learned to read. Anyway, third place. Okay, that was Collins Mullen on the white-black aggro deck in Standard. Legacy, Jody Keith was running Turbo Depths. And Todd Stevens on Green-White Company for Modern in third. Fourth place, Noah Andrew with Blue-White Control. Oh, that's Modern. Oh. Sam Lawrence with Miracles and Legacy. And Aiden Foucault Etheridge running white-black aggro in Standard. Good lord. Fifth place, another white-black aggro, Jonathan Rossum. Turbo Depths for Legacy by David Long. And Kazu Negri running Jeskai Control in Modern. Another white-black aggro in Standard. Sixth place, Zachary Keen.
Popular choice.
One of those. Black-Red Hollow 1 by Chris Turnbull for Modern, and Colorless Eldrazi by Dylan Hand. That was sixth place. Seventh, Brad Gutkin is running a blue-white historic deck. Cosmo Quack, no kidding, is running Food Chain for Legacy. And
it's missing something.
It's missing something?
Doesn't have new Squee. I don't care, it's not running red. Doesn't have new Squee.
Boo. And then seventh place, look at these three decks. A blue-white historic deck, Food Chain, and then a Goryo's As Foretold deck by Michael Powers in Modern. Like, seriously? Wow, they're not even kidding. And then rounding out the top 8, we've got Andrew Davis running a blue-white control, Kellen Pastor running mono-green aggro in Standard, and then Daniel Barkon running lands for Legacy. So there you go. Just glancing, we've got some Decepticons for Modern, Some mono red aggro. Yep. Miracles, colorless Eldrazi, hollow one, green white legends for standard. Why is it called that? Lyra, Rishkar, Shalai. And that's all. What? That's not a... What? Okay, we'll call it Green White Legends, even though that's not the point. Alright, I should stop fighting with deck naming. Because it's a fight I'm clearly not going to win. Alright, anyway, enough of the team thing, because it's really hard to pry an actual metagame out of that for the reasons
too many
stated
variables.
Before. Alright, how about... Oh, what's this one? This is Modern. Let's do Modern next.
That's different.
There were 230 people playing Modern in this event, which it was the largest of the 3 opens. Sorry, the 3 classics.
Yeah.
We've got Roger Carroll running the Humans deck. With this one didn't have anything fancy going on, right? Doesn't appear to. Right, okay. Ryan Gassaway is running Decepticons.
Hey, I thought you came to terms with deck names.
I will never come to terms with this one.
All right. Carry on.
He was waiting for that.
You okay, Mr. Bug Delver? I don't want to hear it.
That was you. Good job.
Yeah.
In third place, Dale Smith is running a Titan Shift deck, which looks pretty normal. Yep. In fourth place, Dan McCauley is running a green-red Tron deck with original Death Star Karn. Not original, but original Planeswalker Death Star Karn. Original Karn was actually a creature.
Like Indoor Moon Death Star.
Yes. In fifth place, Mike Hensel is running more different Decepticons. Just kidding, it's probably more of the same Decepticons. Sixth place, Ryan Bowles with a black-red Hollow One deck. The fact that this deck exists still trips me out.
Reverse.
That too. Nope, that was sixth place. In seventh place, Rebecca Adelman. We'll go with that. Is running a Titan Shift deck. Oh, with Damping Sphere in the board. Ooh, that's brutal.
Yeah. Huh. Broken Bond as well.
Oh, hey, look at that. That seems pretty good.
It seems better in older formats than the current one.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, let's take a look. Like, what sneaksy land would you put in there? Because it doesn't say basics. The Valakut you weren't expecting?
Possibly?
It's the only really tricksy one I can see, other than just normal acceleration.
Yeah, I mean, it is just free put a land down, so basically anything will work.
Neat.
Yeah. No, that was seventh place. In eighth place, Oren Beasley is running Humans.
Human.
Wait, this one had the phantasmal images. Were they in the... Yeah, they were in the original too. Okay, never mind. Or the first place one, rather. That one jumped out at me for some reason. It's like, phantasmal image? But that's just a snap reaction from back in the day when it was paired with Sun Titan and made me sad.
I left that deck. It was terrible for other people.
Yes, it was.
They did all of these things. But hey, more Damping Sphere, right?
Oh, yeah? Hey,
Yeah.
look at that. So let's see. What is in the rest of the top 16? A green-white company. An Abzan company. A Jeskai control. A green-red Tron. Another Hollow One. Another Jeskai control. And more Humans. It's only the top 15. Apparently 16th just is right out.
Unacceptable.
Huh. All right, then. So that's that. So now let's look at Standard, because there were... actually, we should probably do Legacy next because of
Yeah, I was
player
going to
numbers.
say, why would we look at Standard? There's nothing to look at there.
I mean, there's
just
actually...
new cards.
it's just a new set with new cards. Come on.
I mean,
why would we...
There legitimately isn't much to look at here, so...
All right, we going to Legacy? Legacy?
Sure, let's go to Legacy.
Yes, all right. Legacy, the Legacy Classic, where 152 players were playing the king of all formats, at least for now, Legacy. In first place, someone please tell Brian Koval that we banned Top and he should stop playing Miracles because he won't listen, and he won. And frankly, that's mildly upsetting. In second place, Adam Falls is playing lands. Now that we've gotten to third place, listen, guys, I've only been in Magic for, a little while. I mean, sure, years, but not like forever. Could you remind me what colors Grixis is? Could you remind me, Grixis? What?
Grixis is black, red, blue. Black,
red, and blue. So rub.
Which no one ever called it.
We made a point of not calling it Rub Delver.
Well, no, hold on. I've got a reason for this. So that would be Rub Delver. But I want you to take a quick look at this Grixis. It's labeled as a Grixis Delver deck, but it's not even a Rub deck. Alex Byers, third place, Grixis Delver deck. Are you looking at it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do you see that Deathrite Shaman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what colors is Deathrite Shaman?
In this deck?
Broken?
No, just answer the question.
Oh, Planeswalker.
It's black-green.
I didn't say what kind of a card. Yes, we know it's
Instants
a
are a tribe, right?
So it's black-green. I also want you to take a look at this tropical island in the lands there.
Uh-huh.
What colors does that produce?
Money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that's what it costs. Yeah.
No, wait, legitimately, tropical island is blue-green. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so it's blue-green. So in fact, it might be more correct to call this GRUB Delver.
GRUB.
Great. So in third place, Alex Byers has GRUB Delver. In fourth place,
it does have a zombie fish.
There's also an Ancient Grudge in the sideboard, and look at the flashback cost on the Ancient Grudge.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is GRUB Delver. In fourth place, Enrique Gerard is also playing GRUB Delver. In fifth place, Stephen DuPaul is on colorless Eldrazi, and if we look carefully, very carefully, just squint and tilt your head, you will notice there, in the sideboard of this fifth place legacy deck, Karn, Scion of Urza, got there.
Oh, that's Star Killer base Karn.
Look at it. It is a card from the new set in Legacy.
Wait, did you really just call him Star Killer base?
Look, there's only 3 Death Stars. This is what we get.
He's not a Death Star, though.
Yeah, and neither was Star Killer base.
Is he a Borg Cube?
He's I got nothing. I'm tired.
Can I just call him Wolf 359? In sixth place,
THX 1138.
THX 1138. Yeah, that's fine. In sixth place, we are at sixth place, right? Sixth place, Lyle Rolfes is playing GRUB Delver. It is still GRUB Delver. In seventh place, Devon Odzana is. And in eighth place,
you blinked out. What?
I did.
Yeah.
On which one was it? Seventh place?
Yeah.
7th place. Yeah.
Did I die on seventh place? Somebody bring me back, because in seventh place, Devon Odzana is playing Reanimator. And in eighth place, Andy Varel is also playing GRUB Delver. So there you go. All the GRUB Delvers you could possibly grub. Grub. Rounding out our top 16, we've got some Reanimator, more colorless Eldrazi. I'm going to assume that this Grixis Delver is really GRUB Delver. Some Abzan Maverick, Death and Taxes, lands, Sneak and Show, and more colorless Eldrazi. No elves, no goblins. This tournament is dead to me. Let's move on to standard.
That said, it did get 16 decks.
It did. There's not even a burn deck, Cluze. What the heck?
Nope. Hey, man, I don't know what's going on here. Where did we say this was? Baltimore?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in Baltimore, but the legacy scene is broken. Not like broken in the this card is good way, broken in the why these decks. Come on, guys.
So, if we're keeping count, that was 230 players playing Modern, 152 playing Legacy.
Most of them on GRUB Delver.
Most of them, but only 139 on Standard.
Ooh.
That's not even a Pokemon game.
I'm going to say most of them were involved with the team event, ?
Yeah, we'll go with that. So, what do we have here? Zan Syed, I got to learn how to say this person's name, said that. No, wait, won that, playing the white-black aggro deck. This one's running Gideon and Karn. Gideon of the Trials, mind you, and Karn. And History of Benalia, which is completely insane all the time. Just all the time.
Yep.
Just want to remind people, History of Benalia is insane. Some people, when they read the card, were like, that's not any good. Yes. Yes, it is. Moving on. Michael Yu in second place playing a red-black aggro deck. Also Karn.
Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yep.
Chandra can
Also,
come too.
there's an
Forward
Angrath the Flame
Chandra.
Chained in the board.
There's a what now? Oh, hey, there is. Look at that.
Yeah.
Angry plus Wrath.
Doomfall.
So, okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to say it. It's got a great name.
It is a good word. In third place, Iden Breyer is running a slightly different red-black aggro deck. No,
Aw, no Chain Whirler.
no Chain Whirler, but a full 4 Karn.
It does have that gorgeous Phoenix, though.
Yeah, Rekindling Phoenix is kind of sick.
Look at that art.
In fourth place, Kevin Jones is running a blue-white historic deck, which is Wrath Capation, Lyra Dawnbringer, Gideon of the Trials, and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Oh, and History of Benalia.
I glanced at the sideboard and I thought I saw Crazy Cat Lady, but no, it was Shalai, not
Voice of Plenty.
Yeah, not Sahili.
Yeah. But still, it's the blue-white control deck with like I said, Raph and Lyra and Walking Ballista, stuff like
Hey,
that.
did we ever figure out how to pronounce Raph's last name?
I'm gonna go back and forth between Capation and Capuchin depending on what comes out.
I'm
Excellent.
going to guarantee being wrong by saying Capri Sun.
Raph
There's
Capri
only
Sun, yeah.
one,
Yep.
even though they're running 2 of them here.
Grub.
Grub.
So in fifth place, Brandon Dempsey is running a mono green aggro deck, which in a world where you have Llanowar Elves on turn 1, Steel Leaf Champion on turn 2, I suppose this sort of deck was inevitable.
Yeah, checks out. This is the kind of deck that would end up being a, buy a pre-built version of this deck kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's exactly the sort of thing that they made those products for.
it really
It has
is.
a plan. It's a pretty obvious one. And I have not checked the pricing on these cards, so I don't know if they're crazy. I mean, they're not on the reserve list, so they're probably fine. But that is the sort of thing that, simple, direct, here's what green does, all in one deck. So.
Yeah, I mean, not only do you have the Llanowar Elves and the Steel Leaf Champion, but you're ramping up into Ronus, the Indomitable, and Galta Primal Hunger.
Yeah, it's...
This is as green as it gets.
Yeah, bonus points for actually having a Nissa in the board.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Hanging out with Vraska.
What? That's not mono green.
Not mono green at all.
It is not Grub.
That is not grub, you're right.
Also, I just want to shout out to Thrashing Bronto Dave for staying solid here in all of these green decks. My man, Bronto Dave. In sixth place, oh look, in sixth place, it's Joe Fortini running a mono green aggro deck.
Yeah.
Huh. This looks new.
Incorrect. In seventh place, Adam Bielkowski, let's say, is running a blue-white historic deck.
It's pretty
Now,
epic.
look at this damn deck.
This one has caught my attention.
What? So this is an actual historic deck.
This is definitively a historic
So
deck.
we've got Wrath Capation, of course, your Lyra Dawnbringer, Merfolk Trickster, just because you got to have something to do in the early game before you start dropping massive historic cards. The Planeswalker section goes 3 Teferi, that makes sense, 2 Karn,
Sure.
yep,
Yep.
3 Gideon of the Trials, all right,
Seems decent.
and then a Dovin Bond,
Hua?
because screw you, that's why.
Yeah.
The rest of the deck is the removal and, blue-white control stuff you'd expect. But there's also one copy of Azor the Lawbringer.
Yep.
So,
The Sphinx what revelated.
there's... so there's that.
Oh, hey, Teferi's Oath can come too. Neat.
Oh, hey, look at that. Yeah. There's a Shalai Voice of Plenty, another Karn, and a Karn's Temporal Sundering over in the sideboard, too,
For things I made disappear, I will keep watch.
Huh. So I'm looking at Oath of Teferi's effect
Uh-huh.
regarding these Planeswalker choices. Activating loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers twice instead of once. And yeah, Dovin Bond activating twice is pretty sweet. I mean, you would think that for most Planeswalkers, but locking down abilities for 2 cards is actually pretty reliable for something you just cast the turn before. And the obvious, drawing cards without really going down Because you could just, lock that thing down, draw a card, is all the control wants to do.
Not to mention the gain 2 life with that, which will add up quickly.
Yeah, like you could just, plus and minus every turn with that and probably grind them out, regardless of all these other amazing things that you could be doing at the same time.
That is like table flipping disgusting.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, you also have Teferi drawing you 2 cards and then tapping 4 land a turn. Like, not to bury the lead too much, but Teferi and his Oath are disgusting together.
Also, we never actually mentioned this on this show, but Teferi's +1 ability.
Yeah.
+1. Draw a card. At the beginning of the next end step, untap 2 lands.
Yeah.
You can't target already untapped lands. They have to be tapped. So if you...
Do they?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
it doesn't say 2 tapped lands.
This was a
Yeah,
discussion. It doesn't matter.
Untap 2 tapped lands.
This
Okay,
was a
well, I want to hear from
discussion-
Chewie. Like, what's the discussion?
This was a discussion on Twitter, oh god, like 2 weeks ago maybe? Because people were asking about it on Magic Online. They're like, it won't let me just target my own lands. They're like, no, they have to be tapped lands. And if I remember correctly, one of the rules people from Wizards got in on it and were like, yep, that's right.
It's not part of the cost.
Linker, it didn't
And
happen.
it doesn't say target. Like, I don't see how that matters.
Well, I guess we...
I mean, I believe you when you say this. I would just like to understand, because that doesn't at all fit my understanding of the rules. Unless I'm missing something huge.
So, it was Cube April. PSA, you must untap tapped lands with Teferi's +1 if possible. If you don't have any tapped lands, you'll have to untap your opponents. To avoid this, make sure to tap some lands while Teferi's delayed trigger is on the stack.
I don't understand
Okay,
why
here we
that's
go.
the case.
Historically, they've used may, up to, or target for these effects. Cards that tap creatures usually say target on them, so you can target a tapped creature. Blah, blah, blah. If Gideon's Lawkeeper said white, tap a creature, you'd have to choose something untapped.
So is it just that the actual like rules text for what's going on is deeper than what they actually printed on the card? Or is this just what untap means now?
I don't know. I am actually not seeing any responses from any rulesy people.
Yeah, I'd like to see
That
something.
sounds wrong.
Wish I had thought to do this before the show. Okay, here we go. Eli Schifrin chimed in. Nope, someone asked him a different question and he chimed in.
Okay, well, Tabak, Matt Tabak, for those who don't know, Matt Tabak, former rules manager at WotC, still works for WotC, but he's not actually rules manager anymore. He responded to a Reddit thread about this, and he says, and I quote, "You must untap 2 lands if possible, regardless of controller. If your opponent is the only one with tapped lands, you must untap them. Although, as noted, you can always tap your own lands before the delayed trigger resolves. If there are no lands or only 1 tapped land to be found, you just do as much as you can. The lands aren't targeted, and you can't try to untap untapped lands." I'd like to know the rules that back that up, though.
701.17b. To untap a permanent, rotate it back to the upright position from a sideways position. Only tapped permanents can be untapped.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a rule that's just weird. I mean, if someone tries to call you on this, like not doing it, you can still tap your lands and then untap them right then as it's going on, right? Like,
As long as the ability is still on the stack and you're not trying to resolve the ability, yes. But once you're trying to resolve the ability, you don't have time to tap things.
So I'm now going to... Okay, so the release notes for Magic Dominaria. There are 2 bullets under Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. You don't decide which 2 lands to untap until the next end step. Okay. You choose the target for the triggered ability of Teferi's emblem after you've seen the card you drew. So it doesn't even point that out in the release notes, which seems since this is drastically different from every other thing that does this, you think that they would have, mentioned it there.
And I'm sorry, Squee, what rule was that?
701.17b.
So there you go.
Not in the most recent rules document.
Yeah, I found something that's 11 days old, so it may be from the version before it was updated.
Yeah, that's got to be a version before, because 701.17b is now about scrying.
That is very different.
So I'll find it in the current rules now.
Just do a search for only tapped permanents can be untapped.
Oh, nice.
It is now 701.20b.
Ah.
Ooh.
So there you go, listeners. It's a little late.
Yeah, but this is good to know.
Yeah, especially if you play Magic Online or presumably Arena.
Yeah, that'll be where it's more relevant.
Yeah, you're going to have to, while that's still on the stack, respond by tapping some of your own land so you're not untapping opponent's land. Or just untap their land since it's the end of turn and they're going to untap in a second anyway. But against some decks, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
It is very strange that they didn't word that to say target or up to or anything like that.
I have a feeling this is one of those things where they're trying to make things more intuitive, even though it makes the rules harder.
Doesn't that make it less intuitive?
I mean, when you go up against people that know the rules as intimately as the people you're going to find in high-level read articles about this, yeah, it's problematic. When you're sitting down to play this at your pre-release, it does what it says for all purposes that you're going to run into at a pre-release. I get the prioritization there, but it is problematic for the things we just went into. I don't like the idea of a card says something and that's not actually what happens unless you have way more familiarity with very specific rules than you should reasonably assume people do.
I don't think it's rules familiar. Like, every other thing that ever does this is worded in such a way that this isn't the case.
Are there other things that do that in this set?
I have no idea. But
because that's my theory.
Judging from the responses that the response that Matt Tavak did, they did that on purpose.
Yeah, I think this is actually just we're using this wording now kind of thing. And when it comes to the rules, like, mind you, it should have been in the release notes, definitely, because this is a change of pace, but I could see them changing to that going forward just because it's easy to understand. Although apparently that's not how it works. So, blah. But hey, look, Teferi's doing stuff.
Yeah, good on him. So that was 7th place. In 8th place, we have Miles Miller running a blue-white control deck, which is the same blue-white control deck, from before, from last week. Going past the top 8, in 9th place, there's a Bant mid-range deck. Did you guys look at this?
Nope.
No.
So it's Teferi and Karn. So there's your Planeswalker package, and Lyra. Yeah. So it's those cards from that deck, along with Ixalan's Binding and Seal Away.
I'm sorry, which place are we? I'm trying to find this deck.
Ninth.
Ninth, okay. Didn't have it open, okay.
So yeah, we've got Teferi and Karn and Lyra from that deck, along with things like the Ixalan's Binding and Seal Away. And then we've got Walking Ballista, Llanowar Elves, Merfolk Branchwalker, Servant of the Conduit, and Thrashing Brontodave. And Aethersphere Harvester and Heart of Kiran. It's like they put 3 decks in a cup and shook it up, and this is what we got.
It's like those old Clash decks where you have 2 decks, but you can actually put them together to make 1 deck.
Yeah, and you're like the only person that remembers those, but yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of what I do.
I just thought it's very strange. As I was scrolling through this, I'm like, wait, what? What? And then my brain fell out. There's
Nissa on the board.
And then there's Nissa on the board. Because that's where she lives now. There's more blue-white control, a mono-red gift deck, Godpharaoh's Gift that we saw last week. More mono-red aggro, more blue-white control, another Constrictor, and another of the white-black aggro decks. And that's your top 16 there.
Yeah. Expect the really exciting Standard stuff to come when Standard gets a GP.
Yeah, whenever that is. Let's go find out when that is.
To the internet!
Alright, we are currently in May. Oh, this weekend.
Well, there you go.
May 10th through the 13th, we have GP Birmingham with 1 Legacy event, 1 Standard event, and then, well, that's it. But they're both in Birmingham.
So given there's a legacy GP, should we assume that Cluze won't be able to make it next week?
Yeah, Cluze, what's your
Yeah,
What
that's
boat are you going to be on?
That's a bold assumption. No, I should be here.
Okay.
Then more team trios, then team limited. Good lord. Oh, and then
And
another
then-
standard event, June 8th through the 10th. And,
After the Pro Tour standard / booster draft,
oh, wait, when's the Pro Tour?
the 1st of June.
Oh, okay, cool.
That'll probably be the exciting one.
Well, yeah. Nice. All right, then. So there you go. But that's it for events. Now, there was another rulesy thing that has popped up just in the last day or two, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, well, this tweet is actually from 4 days ago, but still.
Within the last week.
Yeah. So apparently on MTG Arena, if someone casts Ixalan's Binding on a Squee, you then can't recast that Squee from under the binding, which makes sense from an intuitive perspective, right?
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of thing that it's designed to stop.
Yeah, but apparently with the way the rules actually work, that shouldn't work.
Yeah. So we have one of those rare situations where people following paper magic, where the rules are interpreted from the rules that are given, works one way. And the way that the computer is programmed to operate under, the way that they think the rules work are operating another way. Because this is a very weird circumstance. I kind of want to make Cluze talk about it instead of me, because I tend to oversimplify these things and get it wrong.
Sure. So let's first remind folks what exactly it is that Ixalan's Binding does. So Ixalan's Binding. When Ixalan's Binding enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Ixalan's Binding leaves the battlefield. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. So you've got, say, Squee on the battlefield, because he's Squee. Why wouldn't you be playing Squee? Your opponent, Ixalan Binding, and they bounce your Squee. So Squee is now exiled under Ixalan's Binding out there in the ether someplace. Now, the thing is, you can cast Squee from exile.
Yeah.
So you might think, hey, I can go ahead and just cast this from exile. But then you think, well, wait a minute. No, that card right there says that I can't cast cards with the same name as the exiled card. And I want to stress that bit. Can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. Well, technically, if you go and look at the rules for Magic, the very first thing you do when you cast a spell is you place the spell on the stack. Then you do some things about, paying costs, et cetera, and then at a certain point partway through the casting process, you check the legality of what you're doing. The problem is, step one was to move Squee from exile onto the stack. Then we get to the point a little bit further down where we're like, okay, let's make sure this is legal. And we look and we ask, hey, Ixalan's Binding, what do you have exiled? I need to know its name so I can see if I can cast this card. And Ixalan's Binding goes, I don't have anything exiled because there's nothing here. So that's the way it works in paper Magic. But that's not the way this card was intended to work. So the folks who are doing it electronically, so MTGO and Arena, they did it the way it was supposed to be done, the way it was intended to be done, which is this thing, you can't cast this thing, period. So I know what a lot of people out there are thinking, wait a minute, aren't there a bunch of cards that do this kind of thing? Why is this a problem now? Not really. There are only, if you go and do a search on Gatherer for, and here's what I used, is can't cast spells name. Just look for those words. You'll find 20 cards that match that set of results. All but 4 of them are things where you choose a name. And if you choose a name, the card knows that name. Okay, so let's find a good example of choosing a name. Nope, that's one that still does it the way you expect it to. Meddling Mage. There we go. Meddling Mage is perfect. So Meddling Mage, as it enters the battlefield, choose a non-land card name. Spells with the chosen name can't be cast. That's straightforward. Meddling Mage just wrote it down in his little notebook, and so everybody now knows it. But unfortunately, Ixalan's Binding is trying to refer to the card that it's got exiled. So I don't know how they're going to fix this. They could, as we discussed in a lengthy bit before Monday Night Magic, so you can check it out on the odds and ends if you're a patron. So there's a plug for that. As we discussed in a lengthy discussion at the beginning of our odds and ends there, they could simply change how spells are cast and check the legality like right away, like before you move it to the stack, but that could have some unforeseen consequences, and I don't actually recommend that. What I would actually recommend is that they reword Ixalan's binding in some way. Now, it's probably going to be a mouthful. Here's my proposal, and I thought this up in like 30 seconds while we were having the discussion, so it's probably wrong, so don't like tweet at me about how it's wrong. That's fine. It's just to give you an idea of how they might do this sort of thing. So what if instead it read something like, when Ixalan's binding enters the battlefield, name a... Do we have to target the card at that point? No. Name a non-land card on the battlefield. I'll up to one card with that name. Your opponents can't cast spells of the spells named blah, 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 blah. So the point is you got to choose the name is the point. We could still preserve the functionality, but we could give it Meddling Mage's Notebook is what I would do. So I would reword it somehow for those 4 cards, and there are only 4 cards that do this kind of thing. The most problematic of which is probably Godsend, which is a mythic equipment from Journey into Nyx that does an exile trick whenever an equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked. You exile one of the creatures that's blocking it, and then you can't recast those things. So it's the only one that would get really weird. But yeah, that's my proposal. That's what I would do.
Yeah, the key difference to understand here is that this would be taking away the reliance on that card being in exile. And instead it goes by the name to prevent all of these other problems. So, but yeah.
It needs a way to remember.
That's a weird thing going on right now. Pay attention, because there will probably be something done by it, but in the meantime, you kind of have this awkward thing where technically by the rules as they exist, it works with Squee can still be cast. And
yeah,
in the event that you run into this in a store and call a judge, this will probably turn into an awkward discussion where one person will be unhappy.
And it really will turn into a very strange and awkward discussion. If you're playing with Squee, I would recommend talking to your head judge before your tournament and asking, what happens if this gets Ixalan bound? If you're playing with Ixalan's binding, ask your head judge before your event, what happens if I exile a Squee? Just so everybody's on the same page. I don't know which way they're going to go on this. By my interpretation of the current paper rules, you should be able to cast a Squee that's been exiled this way. But I am not a judge. I'm also not running that tournament that you're in, so talk to your head judge before it becomes a problem and know that that's the way it's going to work that day until we get an official ruling from somewhere.
And if you're ever planning on being a judge, don't be surprised if this shows up on a judge test once they work it out.
Yeah, and that thing about untapped lands from Teferi, you might want to brush up on that one too, because it's a really weird corner case.
And I was muted. By the way, all this comes from a tweet to Lee Sharp asking about this on Magic Online. His response is, we talked with rules manager Eli Schifrin about this very issue. This is somewhat ambiguous in current rules, but rules intent is that if Squee is exiled under Ixalan's binding, Squee cannot be cast. Both Magic Online and Arena match this functionality. So, yeah. That's probably not the best way to word your response to that. Correct. But so yeah, that's just the thing. So whatever way that you want it to work, it probably doesn't work that way because your luck is like mine. But yeah, as Cluze mentioned, get that sorted out before so that there's no caught up in the moment nonsense later.
And I believe the rule in question that you want to look at is like 602 something. I'll see if I can find it. Stand by. Sure. Or I could just do this, and it's... Well, the thread has a couple of different rules that are referenced, and I want to go find the one. Is it 601.5e? Because that's the one that someone mentioned specifically. Yeah, but somebody also mentioned 602 dot something, so... .1, yeah. Thus, I say stand by. I refuse to stand by. I stand by nothing. We're canceling the apocalypse. 601.2 is where you actually move the spell to the stack. And let's see where you actually copy or check to see if it's... I'll be back with you in a minute.
Will you now?
Yes.
Compelling radio.
Luckily, silence truncation will knock most of this out.
Except for all of these parts where we're talking about it.
Okay, yes. You move the spell to the stack in 601.2a. Then you follow some steps in order until you come to 601.2e, which is when the game checks to see if it can legally be cast. But it's already moved to the stack at that point. So 601.2 is the section you want to refer your judge to.
Gotcha.
I look forward to when they have a more firm ruling on how this is working, because you would think that someone using hashtag WotC staff probably know better than to ever make the argument of rules as intended, considering the existence of Dungeons and Dragons for several decades and the flame wars that have been fought since the dawn of Usenet over that kind of crap. So stand by, ask questions. Well, rules as intended is what was obviously supposed to happen. Rules as written is what will come up in every game of D&D when someone is trying to like angle shoot, and is the leading cause of arguments among munchkins and everything else since early Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
And one of the benefits of Magic the Gathering is that all of the rules have a very definite, this is what it does, to the point of being able to run a computer program off of it. So going off of intent is not a path they ever want to walk down. It's always going to be the rule as it is written, and they will rewrite it if that is not what it's supposed to be doing. So that's just a messy place to go.
See, I thought the way D&D always ended was at the discretion of your DM.
Well, that's like how everything is at the discretion of
Your head judge?
your head judge.
Gotcha.
But the rest of us want to have rules that we can expect when we go event to event.
Gotta love that competitive D&D.
It's the worst, dude.
So, that brings us all the way down to our last thing, I think, unless there's Magic. Oh, there is Magic Online stuff. Whoops.
Just a little bit.
And that is, okay, so this has to come with a heavy disclaimer of this is probably true, but there's always a chance with, just photographs on the internet of this is complete BS. So there's your warning that this is allegedly. But allegedly, a Twitter user, Mox Moonstone, posted pictures on Twitter of a bunch of cards from Magic Core Set 19 that he claims he got in his box of Dominaria. He said these were spread out through a box, no more than 2 or 3 per pack, but he has what looks like about 15 of them or so.
Yeah, 15 commons.
Yeah. So our theory that we kicked around at the before the show in the odds and ends are that because of the bizarre collation that Dominaria had to go through to get the legendary in every pack, something just went wonky. Like a sheet got accidentally done somehow or something, because he's got 15 different cards, presumably only one of each.
Yeah, I didn't see any duplicates in it.
So
yeah, and it's just one of those things where this isn't like the big splashy, whoa, spoiler, super awesome, rare to discuss. Like, these are a bunch of commons in a core set, and they all line up with the stuff you would expect to see in a core set.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
If someone took the time to fake this, that's really weird.
like, that's an interesting use of your time and
Yeah, because I mean,
potential.
I know that people will go to great lengths to perpetrate completely pointless hoaxes, but this one, wow.
Wait a minute. No, he got more. There are 3 more here that aren't in that in it. So that's, what did I say, 15?
So 18.
And then 18, yeah. Interesting.
So for what it's worth, I think we can safely say that the 2019 core set that's coming out later this summer will contain commons.
Seems likely.
What?
I know it's pretty amazing, but it will.
Shocking.
Oh, and I can also predict that draft players will leave commons on the table after. Not
I
all of them
agree,
and not
Robot
every
Cluze.
time.
Yeah, whatever Robot Cluze just said.
Beep, boop, beep.
I believe it was beep boop. Please don't leave things on the table. Beep boop boop. I'm still angry about those rappers from 15 years ago, even though I didn't play Magic back then. Boop beep boop. Keep your drink on the floor.
1100110.
Grub.
I think we've got a show title.
All right, so that is that. Oh, and just a reminder, you can get the super sweet Planeswalker logo or D&D logo with the pride coloration, the rainbow, on this Wizards of the Coast fundraiser for Lambert House. There is the Magic version and the D&D version. Both of those links are still in the show notes. They run for another, there it is, 16 days. So go check that out and support a good cause. Or don't. Whichever. Yay. Next.
Is
Hey, look,
there a next?
It's Magic Online. You remember when we talked about that?
Yeah.
It's actually relevant stuff that I had to include.
Boo.
So, last week on May 1st, they updated the online conduct rules in a manner that's worth discussing. So, as they say in the article that I've linked here in the show notes, for a while, they were fairly lenient when it came to policing Magic Online behavior with a series of warnings and upgrades on infractions. And this was just one of those things where, like, we get it. Some people have a bad day. We don't want to punish you out of scope to what you're doing. So we'll just be chill about it. But unfortunately, the side effect of this is that chronically disruptive or toxic players may end up on the platform longer than they would like. So keeping that in mind, starting May 7th, as in the day that we're recording this podcast, they've updated the process. So yeah, they've got a warning for muting a player, but here you go. So the contact actions available to support staff aren't changing and include issuing a warning, muting a player for up to a few minutes to up to permanently, or account suspension for a day up to permanently. However, they're reducing the tolerance thresholds for these conduct paths for both initial and repeated behaviors and empowering their support representatives to take decisive actions more quickly. That means that actions taken against accounts in response to conduct issues will be more severe up front, most notably in the cases of repeat offenders and threatening behaviors. So, I mean, the short version of it is that they're going to take things much more seriously with, here you go, here's the part I'm building up to. Part of adjusting our tolerance thresholds is introducing a zero tolerance policy on threatening conduct, which will be met with immediate Magic Online account suspension, as well as possible removal from organized play in the Wizards Play network, and where appropriate, escalation to law enforcement for investigation.
Damn.
So this is very zero tolerance on cyberbullying and other things like that. Now, keep in mind, if your Magic Online account gets suspended, potentially indefinitely, they're not going to refund you the value of your collection. Not something they do. And further, if they remove you from organized play in the Wizards Play network entirely, that's going to affect you in paper Magic. And of course, as noted, in the event that you cross certain lines, they'll escalate to law enforcement for investigation. So this is a big jump from you get a warning, you get a temporary ban. The article then goes on to, show you the process for reporting, the way that, reporting works, the best and most optimal way to do it, to provide the right information, screenshots of the conduct, all of those things. They're also reminding you that there is a block player feature if someone's being toxic, so that you don't have to play with them again. They also have instructions here for filing an appeal. So you think that this is really extreme. What if someone just decides to report me for no reason? There is a process in place to appeal that. Don't worry, it's not, blind punishment. But you should follow the steps here, and also just in general be aware that as an overall policy, they want to cut out the harassment part of Magic, which is present. I know from playing Magic Online back when I played it, I don't really do that anymore, but back when I did, some people get super salty after a game. Some people get super salty during a game. Some people were born angry and have recently learned how to use a computer. All of these things are possible. And that's not even counting the behavior that we see in Twitch chat or at playing other online games where you can actually hear the person you're playing with. A lot of people online are terrible, or they at least act terribly when they interact with you online. And they don't want Magic Online to suffer from that, so they're taking a hard stance on it. I would encourage everyone who plays Magic Online to read the thing I'm linking in the show notes, because I'm giving you a rough overview of it. And this is important stuff to know about, considering it could very directly impact the community, hopefully for the better. But be aware of all of that.
The easiest way to avoid that is to not be an asshole.
And be aware that when you encounter them, that there actually is a path to report them and remove the problem from the community.
Rule number 2.
Yep. Rule 1, no dying. Rule 2, don't be a dick. It's not hard to not type horrible crap in the chat. Now, they have said that in an upcoming update, you will actually be able to not see chat if you choose. Like, you can turn off chat.
Now, that's a feature.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. You can still
when that
have
happens, we should talk about it.
You can still have the game log and all that up if you want, but you can actually not have to see chat. I don't know when that's going up, but I have seen WotC people discussing that, again, on Twitter, because that's where all this crap comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've got a life pro tip for salty players of MTGO. Totally, this is a life pro tip you can use. Okay, so you've had a loss against that guy who you know that your deck is better and that you have better skills, and all they did was top deck, and they got gas and you didn't, and they are a total luck sack and a bunch of words that I can't repeat here on Monday Night Magic. You know those things to be true. Did you know that you can go ahead and say those things out loud at your computer, and that will give you possibly the catharsis that you need in that moment, so you can proclaim it to the universe as a whole, but you don't actually have to type it. It actually even takes less effort to just shout it out loud at your screen. So there you go. Life pro tip from Cluze to you.
He's not wrong. But then that person doesn't know. Yeah, they know.
They know. Yeah, they totally know. Trust me, if they're that much of a luck sack, they already know.
Yeah. All right, then.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go through the rest of Magic Online news because, as noted, we cut them back. But I am going to mention one critical thing in the bug blog, which is that if Squee the Immortal dies after losing its abilities, you are incorrectly unable to cast it from the graveyard.
Yep. Whoops.
They found a way. They found a way.
They had to break the rules to do it.
They found a way.
Oh, there's another big one actually right above that.
Well, yeah, there's that too, but that's less exciting and personally related to me. But yeah, in rare cases, if both players mulligan with cards such as Leyline of Sanctity, that can cause the game to be unable to continue. Oops.
Yeah, and some of the ley lines are actually,
good and played.
And part of the meta, so
yeah.
This is not good.
Yeah. And I guess if we're going to mention other stuff, the funny one, because I always have to include some kind of funny one when we do these. Quicksilver Fountain allows you to place flood counters on non-land permanents. Oh yeah.
Whoops.
So you know what that means, don't you, Cluze?
I'm sorry, I was reading something else and I was totally not paying attention. What was that bug?
Okay, the bug is that Quicksilver Fountain allows you to place flood counters on non-land permanents. Do you know what a flood counter does?
No.
That land is an island for as long as it has a flood counter on it.
What if I cast Choke?
Stop exploiting the bugs, Cluze. That's how you get banned.
Oh, yeah, you've got a good point. I'll just cast Boil. Okay, carry on.
I just thought you would find it entertaining that it both makes anti-island technology better and also runs the risk of turning your mountains into islands normally.
Whoops.
Yeah.
It's flying too close to the sun.
I think they should drop everything else and fix just that.
Drop all of it?
All of it.
Also, this
drop
came
tables.
This is an old one, actually, that's still listed and ongoing, that came up on the odds and ends for the last episode of the Mana Pool. Doubling season incorrectly doubles loyalty counters added from costs of loyalty abilities. It is not supposed to do that. Yeah.
Wow.
That should have been fixed
ever ago.
8 years ago?
Like Mike brought that up. He saw it on the rules forums for, it might be Tapped Out, that he still pays attention to. And he was like, what? No, that bug is old as hell, really? Yup, still there. I just looked it up. It's still listed in the ongoing.
That's amazing they never fixed that.
Yep.
Doubling Season's been printed since then.
Yeah. But I guess because it only matters in casual games, maybe they don't care? I don't know.
I mean, Modern Masters was a format you could play online. And I'm sure it's in cubes. That's just dumbfounding that they never fixed that.
I mean, it might not be in cubes because
of that reason.
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know. They change what's in the cubes often enough, and I don't read them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's weird. So yeah, let this be a reminder to you that if you play Magic Online, it's going to be worth your while to both keep track of updates to the bug blog and also read all of the things that already don't work and have never been fixed. It'll take you a little while because it's a bit of a list, but you should know these things because it matters. Magic is hard.
It really is.
So, but yeah, that's all that I was going to throw out here. There's more bugs than what I just mentioned, and since I'm not reading these out to you every 2 weeks, it's quite possible that you missed stuff because we just aren't going to focus as much on Magic Online anymore.
Yeah.
But for things like the online conduct update, yeah, I'm going to tell you because that could get people banned.
Yeah, that's very
or
important.
Arrested. So be aware. But yeah, if you want to keep up with Magic Online news now that I don't go into it as often, go to the Wizards website, go to products, go to Magic Online. Most of the updates will pop up on Tuesdays, and then you'll occasionally get these other things. So stay aware.
Be woke.
That is what they call it.
Be attitude for gains.
Be praying, be praying, be praying.
GRUB.
Grubba, zoo.
So
all right.
Are we done now with this?
We should be. Let's wrap up.
All right. Go for it.
Hi, everybody. You can find me on Twitter at SqueeGoblinAbob. I don't know whether or not there's an I in Goblin because Ixalan Binding's in effect and nobody knows what that does. So there may or may not be an I. It might depend on what format you're playing in. But past that, you can find me at Animazement in a few weeks in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then later on in the summer, you'll find me at Cosplay America. And then I'll probably go to Raleigh SuperCon, which is the weird place where you can see movie stars and TV stars and comic book artists and wrestlers and Overwatch voices, and everybody's there on it. Batman's going to be there. It's going to be great. The real Batman, Kevin Conroy, will be there. It's important.
Nice.
The best Batman.
Yes, the true Batman. So all of that will be going on. So I'll be at a bunch of cons this summer. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also pointing out that Deadpool 2 comes out in a few weeks, which I'm looking forward to, if only because all the promotional things that they've put out on it are amazing. And I would be happy even if they stop making Deadpool movies, but they continue to have Ryan Reynolds do promotions for Deadpool movies. Yeah. Because they are some of the most fun and easily digestible things ever. I'm just saying, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a recent musical entry into the world with Celine Dion, and it's wonderful.
That's quality.
So you can look that up later. It'll be great. So that's about it for me this week. I will hand it over to Cluze.
Hey, things, stuff, other things. I finally saw Infinity War.
Good job.
So if you want to know what we think about that, I think we're going to talk about it in the odds and ends in just a few minutes. So Patreon, Chewie will tell you all about that in a couple of minutes. If you want to reach me directly, your best bet is the Twitters. I'm at Lacluyze, spelled just like it is in the show notes. I hope everybody survived finals. Let's say, have a good summer. Try not to forget everything when you come back in the fall. If you graduated, congratulations. Good luck out there. It's rough. We're sorry.
I kind of want Cluze to give speeches at graduations now.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm
maybe consider grad school.
I believe in staying within the ivory tower as long as you can.
Pretty much.
Because one way or another, you're in the husk of a dead animal. You might as well be in the tusk.
Yeah. All right, take it away, Chewie.
Who, me?
Unless there's another Chewie there.
No, it's just me.
In which case, I think you have to fight your clone, so...
Oh, no, they take care of that, and Matt Tabak shows up.
Nice.
What? Anyway.
State-based action.
So, I'm Chewie. And
Hi, Chewie.
I do things on the internet. Recently I actually did a thing that wasn't mine. I did a guest spot on a recent episode of 1600 Dust, which is a Hearthstone podcast. It was episode 161. I was on it along with Chris and Matt and Spivey and Ziggy. And it was a lot of fun. 1600 Dust is very digestible. They have a 20-minute time limit. Straight up. Boom. So yeah, we talked about Hearthstone for 20 minutes, and then we were done. Except we weren't, because we were on the call for, I don't know, probably almost an hour, giggling and being goobers. So yeah, it's 1600dust.com, and it's the current episode. It's what did I say, 161? I literally just closed it. Yes, 161. So check that out if you want to hear us talk about Quest Rogue and how much we love it. We don't love it at all. Anyway, so on to the things I do. You can find the Mana Pool podcast over on themanapool.com. That's a thing that we do for 10 years. Excuse me, I'm really out of it all of a sudden. So you can find me all over the internet as the Mana Pool. That's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. All of these things are the Mana Pool.
Mana Pool?
Mana Pool. GRUB.
Mana Pool.
Mana Pool, GRUB, Mana Pool.
Beep boop. Anyway, if you want to help support what I do with all of the YouTubing and Twitch streaming and podcasting, then by all means check out the Patreon, where you can get Mana Pool episodes and YouTube videos early. You can get the early stuff and the odds and ends, all the stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Mana Pool. And according to Patreon, the 2 odds and ends from last week's episode of Monday Night Magic and the Mana Pool were the 200th and 201st odds and ends to go up.
Oh, that's like 20 real odds and ends.
There was a lot. The only reason I know that is because Patreon recently added the functionality of auto-completing your categories that you're typing out. So I type O, and it pops up odds and ends with a number in parentheses next to it. And that number was 200 before I added the last one. So now we're at 201, and that is amazing to me. But I guess when you put up 2 a week...
Yeah,
that makes sense. So yeah, that's cool. But you can also, not only can you get the odds and ends and the early stuff, but you can become an actual lifeguard, which will get you a shout out on both podcasts, and your name will be on the end slate for all the podcasts that go up each month that you support at that tier. So to that end, I would like to thank the following Mana Pool lifeguards: Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al, Paul David, Lance Delicious, Team U, Hellas Haryu, John Morris, Stuart Slaw, PJ McMullen, Bosco Brittain, Casey, Nathan Hay, Danny Liao, Jason Doan, AJ Javieras, Cody Buckowing, Jake Jansens, Jason Kaus, Brian DeLucci, Stark Maximum, John Parker, Jimmy Scott, Violet Moon, Dan Holm, Bartle, Mike Millerburned, and the Beast Father, Aaron Goodwine. Thank you all so very much for your generosity. I quite literally couldn't do it without you. And with that, is that an episode?
That sounds like an episode.
Seems like an episode, yeah. So this has been Monday Night Magic number 605. Thank you all so very much for listening, and go play some Magic.